This is a show about getting spooked for fun, and neither one of the hosts are associated with the attractions discussed in any way, except for those skeletons in Devin's closet. Some topics may go from ghoulish to ghastly, so viewer discretion is advised. Welcome to the Great American Scream.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory. On this episode, we're going to talk about how that ding-dang Mario is actually secretly going to come kill you with a big knife. I'm Matt Pat. Who are you?
Sorry, I had to think of the theme song.
I for a second tried to, and then I was very happy at the fact that I couldn't. And now it's stuck in my head.
Beginning part.
Anyway. It goes.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, hi, welcome to the Great American Scream. My name's Devin Wright.
My name's Adam O'Connell. Hi, I'm very excited for this episode.
I am taking over the podcast once again. That's right. It's video game time, baby.
Oh, wait, Devin, before you take over the podcast, can you give it back to me for a second?
Okay, sure. Here you go.
Thanks. Because we forgot to mention last week that for all of our haunted attraction fans and heads out there, Universal Studios Florida has officially announced the return of Halloween Horror Nights. The official Halloween Horror Nights 30 is coming next year. It was supposed to be 30 last year. Now this is going to be 30. And they announced their first house. They are bringing back the Beetlejuice house in its full glory.
Yes.
Just be on the lookout for that. I'm glad that the theme park industry of course it's going to we're not entirely sure yet. Glad the theme park industry is looking so positively. Please be safe with your decision if you're going to go or not. And as always, please check out Cast Member Pantry on Facebook. They can Venmo them as to help out those theme park workers that may still be furloughed or may not be returning to their jobs. Okay, Devin, you got the podcast back.
Okay. Also, we may see you at Halloween Horror Nights. That might be happening.
Horror Nights.
Anyway, this episode is about my friend and yours, Freddy Fazbear, and his very good pizza. For those who don't know, Five Nights at Freddy's is a horror video game franchise. It was created by Scott Cawthon, and I kind of had an idea to do this episode because it is insane the impact that this specific franchise has had, not only on video games and horror games specifically, but the entirety of online content. One of the largest creators in all of YouTube of the last decade, who is the game theorists, Matt Pat, gained most of his following through his videos about Five Nights, and coupled with Slender, these games formed huge communities surrounding theorizing and lore and that kind of analysis of games that I personally have a very dubious relationship with in terms of whether it's good for the games industry or not. I actually think most of the time it's bad, but that's fine because Five Nights is still fascinating.
Yeah, and that's what also I was going to say, that the whole thing with Five Nights, especially Slender, is it not only did this for kind of this lore part of the community, but the entire idea of watching people play video games, it was a thing before Five Nights at Freddy's, but this, the popularity of watching people play horror games, watching people get jump scared, the big exaggerated
and
reactions.
People do not Let's Plays, but specific gameplay videos, short form. Before this, there were Call of Duty gameplay highlight type stuff on one end, and then there were full game Let's Plays with people like Proton John and Chugga Conroy. And then you kind of had this emergence of people like Markiplier and PewDiePie, who, along with these games and Happy Wheels, has to be mentioned, with Tobuscus, kind of created this new style of game.
Yeah, it totally made those channels what they are.
Yeah. So, little pre-game history. This could have been its own podcast, and it might be in the future. So, Five Nights at Freddy's is a game series. There are 8 main series games created by Scott Cawthon, who started making games as a kid in the mid 1990s. He had some smaller games leading up to 2014. He submitted them to Steam Greenlight, which is a early version of early access, which for those who don't know is a way that players can experience your game before it's actually ready for release. All of them got rejected except for his last one, which I don't have the name of. It was based around this squirrel woodchuck character.
Yeah, I remember what you're talking about now.
it kind of got torn apart by a lot of YouTube critics and other video game critics. And a lot of the critiques surrounded the fact that the character design and animation seemed really janky and unnatural and was compared to the animatronics of 90s entertainment complexes. Remember this. This is important.
This seems important for the future.
So you may not remember, you may be a child. You may have been born after 2003 at this point. So you may only know one of these names. So let's talk about these 90s complexes. 80s and let's go back 1970s, 80s, 90s. You had restaurant arcade hybrids for kids, like not Dave and Buster's that we still have now.
We still have Dave and Buster's.
Yeah, and we still have one of these. But we have Discovery Zone, Showbiz Pizza, and of course the Kingdom of Charlemagne Entertainment Cheese, also known as his nickname Chuck E. Cheese, of which the latter two had animatronic bands made up of animals. The Rockafire Explosion, who was the best at Showbiz Pizza, and the Pizza Time Players at Chuck E. Cheese. But that's a little weird because in 1984, Chuck E. Cheese filed for bankruptcy and Showbiz Pizza bought them. But Showbiz Pizza was like, we like this rat.
Yeah.
So they took on the Chuck E. Cheese branding and folded Rockafire Explosion into the branding of Chuck E. Cheese, creating Munch's make-believe band.
Yeah. And the biggest, I think, one of the biggest appeals of these restaurants, not only for like adults to give their kids like go to run around for an hour,
right.
But this, for a lot of like small town America, this is one of the few places you could see animatronics outside of and kind of like deep themed dining outside of Disney parks and
these
Universal
play
parks.
Places and
because the same thing for like Rainforest Cafe and places like that.
Yeah.
The reason you went to those is because you didn't have to travel to Florida or to California you could go to the Garden State Mall in New Jersey to go eat in a rainforest.
You could go to the Galleria in Middletown and
was there a Rainforest Cafe there?
No, but there's a Chuck E. Cheese.
Okay.
So you had Munch's Make Believe Band, which was now the Chuck E. Cheese thing. They sold all the unused animatronics to a bunch of different pizza franchises, including Pistol Pete's Pizza, which I include just because it's a great name, and Circus Pizza, which will become important later.
Also, stow that away.
So Scott Cawthon, because he was a child of the 80s and knew how terrifying Charles the Rat and all of his furry friends were, he decided to make a horror game set in one of these restaurants. It might have been based, we don't know, on a real-life murder that occurred in a Chuck E. Cheese. I'm not going to go into details. That is one theory that like game theory put forward.
I would
and
say
it feels
it's kind
weird
of
to talk about.
Unlikely, but it's definitely entered the zeitgeist of discussion around this enough for it to be important to mention.
And it could be that it was an inspiration for Scott, or that he did know about the murders when he was making the games, but it's not known, one, whether it was fully intentional, or two, whether we should actually be discussing the murders of 5 real people when talking about animatronics. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna go over the games in varying detail. The first one is going to be kind of the big one because it's kind of the most important. So, because one of the things about these games is that they're released so freaking fast. So we'll get into it. August 8th, 2014.
Picture it. Where were you?
I was in
high school.
I was
right.
Yeah, I was in sophomore year, about to go into sophomore year, which is crazy to think of.
Yeah.
And I was 16. So Five Nights at Freddy's releases on Steam. In it, you play as a night guard at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Just a regular dang restaurant, right? Just regular restaurant that children come to for pizza and fun. You're placed in an office at the end of 2 hallways with 3 mechanics at your disposal. And this is like my thesis about these games and why they're so good. So you have 3 mechanics. You can check cameras, which are positioned around the restaurant. You can shine a light outside of a door to your left or a door to your right, and you can close those same doors. They're like big metal doors.
Yeah.
So you're told that the animatronics move automatically at night because there's a free roam program that they put into these animatronics to like keep them from seizing up. And they move around the restaurant, and if they get to you, the tutorial man who's speaking from the phone tells you that they will mistake you for an endoskeleton and stuff you into one of the empty suits and make you into one of the Freddy Fazbear's animatronics.
So already when you're stepping into it, you kind of have to go, okay, like I will accept this as true.
It requires so much suspension of disbelief, and the wildest thing is none of this is true.
Yeah, that's
none
also
of this is canon to the games at all.
That's just what they tell you to make it sound believable.
Right. So every action you take, whether it's using the camera, flicking a light, closing a door, costs an amount of power. And you have a limited amount of power to last you from the start of the night at 10 p.m. to the morning, 6 a.m. In the morning, the animatronics just like go back to normal and they operate normally during the day. Like they have children's birthday parties or whatever. So right away, this game is a huge success. The playthrough videos posted by people like Markiplier, and just because it's really well executed horror, the design quality of the game is like, you can talk about whether it's well coded or well designed or whatever, but the quality of like playing it, especially when it was brand new, is incredible.
It's simple, it's nostalgic, and I think the big thing is that even if you didn't know the game by name yet, everyone was talking about, hey, have you played this horror game that takes place in Chuck E. Cheese? And you're going to go, of course I want to play the horror game that takes place in Chuck E. Cheese.
The premise is so good because of that. You kind of have an expectation, the motif of this podcast, an expectation of what that will be like already, and you're already excited. Mm-hmm. So the kind of three things that I think make this game so good, especially for the time, are its core like mechanic and the fact that you're stuck in one place, the aesthetic and the character designs, which are so good, and then this like meta story going on. So the visual mechanic is kind of resultant of it not being a well-coded or designed game. You're in one place. You like in the game, you have this basically stretched image file.
Yeah.
Of like you're staring at a desk with a fan and these two doors. You have like actual buttons that you can click on the doors, and like a monitor to pull up and view the camera. So the only actual movement you do as a player is turning your head left to right, because you can't see both doors at once. Like you can click both doors at once, but you can't look out of them.
Yeah.
So most of the game is like fidgeting. You establish like a routine. You pull up the camera, check if Freddy's at the door. You put it down, turn right, flash the light, see if somebody's there. If they are, turn down the door, turn to your left, flash the light, turn down the door, check the camera. And so you're just doing these over and over and over again, setting up your kind of routine, your expectations, and it's stressful the whole time because you know that these things are coming to kill you. So when curveballs are thrown of like, oh God, Chica's right there. Oh God, you have to like change the way you do stuff. And it's like, it is just such a just fascinating little core of mechanics that makes the game so interesting.
It's interesting in the fact that like it's simple, but it's also still a strategy game, which is honestly why like, because here's the thing, one of the thing that people say about this game is like, oh, it's like so simple, you just hit a couple buttons. It's it's not easy. And also I'm very dumb. So like as much as I like the prospect of the game, like my brain, and I'm not a huge video game person, at least not outside of like simulator games. So like the strategy doesn't work in my brain.
Right. And for most people it doesn't, because again, what this basically is an arcade game. Like it is, or a Twitch kind of almost Dance Dance Revolution type memorization game. And like syncing up your memory with your hands and the night that you're in, and it's masquerading as a horror game. Mm-hmm. So that makes it even more scary because you're like, oh, I'm doing arcade twitchy stuff. Oh God. So the second thing I said was aesthetic and the characters. So Cawthon's characters were like super creepy and weird and moved unnaturally. And so he designed 4 animatronics that move, technically 5, and they're so well designed. Like these games are not. The core design, the character design is great. Yeah. And obviously it gets kind of out of control as we get to the later games.
That's kind of the iconography of it too, is that people immediately recognize these characters.
Right, and they are so evocative of a Chuck E. Cheese or a Rockafire Explosion. So you have Freddy Fazbear, just a normal bear. He has a microphone and a top hat.
Very little hat too, which is nice.
A very tiny top hat. You have Bonnie the rabbit, or Bunny. He is pretty normal. He's purple.
He's got a little bow tie or something, right?
Yeah, he's got something like that. Oh, I think he does have a bow tie. I think you're right. Chica the chicken, who has a party bib that says "Let's party." Absolutely terrifying.
Chica's got like the design of Freddy and Bonnie. It's like, okay, like that makes sense. You know, you don't have to put them in clothes or anything. The specificity of Chica's design is unnerving.
Well, the thing about these characters is because they're animatronics, their mouths move, right? So Freddy and Bonnie and all the characters have bottom teeth but no top teeth. And all the teeth are very separated, like clearly like metal or plastic things. Chica's a chicken, and she has teeth running along the bottom end of her beak, and it's horrible and terrible and bad. And like all of these characters also have face designs that like their eyes are, because their eyes like move and light up, are black circles with white eyes inside of those circles, which for Chica, for Freddy and Bonnie, it's kind of creepy because Bonnie's kind of a darkish purple and Freddy's a brown. Chica's yellow. So you see her eyes like sunken into her head. And then the fourth best boy, Foxy the Fox, who's a fox, who's also a pirate. He's got a hook hand and an eye patch. Because
there's like a Pirate Cove area of the restaurant or whatever, right? So that's his territory.
We love Foxy. Golden Freddy is not in the band. He appears very rarely. He's always like slumped over as though he has no endoskeleton inside them. And when he shows up, he instantly kills you. I love him.
The thing is that we find out later on in the franchise that that's both an animatronic and a suit, ? Like it's also something that you can wear. Is that the whole thing with Golden Freddy? Because then later on with like the Springtrap thing, it's like, oh, it's also a suit.
Yes. We'll get into Springlock suits in FNAF 2. Needless to say, there's a type of suit that is both an animatronic walk around, but also you can go into it and perform in it.
Right. But Golden Freddy, we don't know if it was one of those.
It would seem that would make sense, right? But I don't want to contradict MatPat and his wonderful theories. So
I used to know everything about these because, about maybe like the first 4, but then there's just like, I was just like, you know what I know.
I didn't check the wikis for a lot of this, and I was very proud of myself.
Good.
In a kind of gross way. So each of these characters moves differently, like Adam said about Foxy. So Bonnie and Chica roam around the entire restaurant. They can move towards you and away, and they can like walk into a random closet and then just stay there for a while. It is almost like chess. Freddy moves towards the office and never away. Anytime Freddy moves towards you, he can never go backwards. So he ends up like outside one of your doors, and you just have to leave that door closed, which is really bad for your power. Foxy is hiding out in Pirate's Cove, and if you check the cameras, I believe if you don't check Foxy's camera often enough, he starts to open the curtain, and then when it's open all the way, he'll sprint down the hallway and insta-kill you. If you lock the door, all he does is runs up to the door and bangs on it, which takes like 7% off of your power.
It's very scary.
So not only is this a arcade twitchy game, it's also a resource management game, like a survival horror game, kind of.
I mean, it is a survival. I would call it a survival horror game.
Right. And so these designs are so good, so real. They're all like going around this static, dark, dank restaurant all night. And one of the, again, like unintentional great things about the kind of poor design of this game, each screen of camera, including your regular perspective, is, like I said, just kind of a stretched image. It's actually projected onto a cone, but that's like a bit complicated. So as you move, the kind of perspective stretches. It's very clear that they're static images. So the animatronics are the only things that move. And it's when they jump scare you and they move super creepy and like an animatronic and they murder you real good. And it's bad. So you go through 5 nights of this. Every single beginning of a night, you have the guy who's called Phone Guy, who is the guy on the phone. And he coaches you the first few nights on the game's mechanics. He also tells you like, oh, if they come into the room, maybe just play dead and maybe they won't stuff you into a suit. That's false. That doesn't work.
I was going to say, I don't think that works.
One thing about Freddy also that's fun. Chica and Bonnie, if they get to your door, they will basically enter a jump scare mode where they will come into the office and jump scare you. Freddy, when he gets to you, he actually comes into the office, but you don't see him get into the office.
Okay.
He just sits in the office, and then every time every few seconds, he has a chance to jump scare you. So you can basically just lose, but still be stuck in the office, not knowing if Freddy's inside or not.
What's the thing where like
jump scares you.
Bonnie comes to the door? So like you see Bonnie like poking his head through the door. What's that?
Yeah. One of Bonnie stands like T-posing in front of the door.
Okay.
Whether it's closed or not. And so like you can like flash the light and see that Bonnie's outside and close the door.
I see.
But you can also you can also like close the door and then kind of see him standing outside your door like a little brother who wants to see what video game you're playing.
I see. Okay.
So the phone guy tells you like some real stuff, some fake stuff. He also tells you that there have been issues with the animatronics, that there have been like strange scents coming out of them. There's something called the Bite of 87. Yes, the thing that Markiplier said.
Yeah.
Which led to, that was the incident that made it so that they only free roam at night. Before then, they could free roam. A kid got bit, apparently, and then they turned that off. He eventually is killed between nights, presumably. And the last message he leaves you is just garbled noise. And so, like, throughout this whole game, and every game has this, you have the actual game.
Yeah.
Which is what you're playing. And then you also have a kind of emerging story through the other aspects of the game, whether it's phone messages or later it's death mini games that happen anytime you get killed. It's just like such an interesting format that I don't think was ever done. That was definitely done before, but was done in mostly indie games like Five Nights. But that Five Nights was the first one that was like, oh, this is the game.
Yeah. And
the game you're playing is not actually the game.
It became famous through like the jump scares mostly. That's, I think, what like non-horror people, that's why they call it a horror game, is because of the jump scares. I'm like, yeah, no, jump scares are jump scares. They're scary jump scares.
They're very, some of them are not.
Some of them are, I think looking back, like a lot of them are, especially from the first game, a lot of them are silly. But at the time, they're pretty scary.
Oh, I think all the first ones are great.
The Golden Freddy one's quite scary.
Yeah, Golden Freddy, you only know that he shows up when there are posters outside of your office that can change, and they will show like news stories, including ones about the Bite of 87, including the disappearance of like the child disappearance incident, which is that 5 kids disappeared. And one of the posters that can show up is just Golden Freddy very close with Golden Freddy's the only one without actual eyeballs. He just has black in his eye sockets and white lights, sometimes red. And so when you see that poster, the next time you pull down your camera, you die.
Yeah.
Because you see him slumped on the stool before you, and it says like, it's me, and then you die. So some discussion stuff. Did you play Five Nights at Freddy's?
I mean, I definitely played it like with my friends at a slumber party, which is I think where a lot of people ended up playing this game. But I watched the crap out of people playing it.
Okay, who was like my watch?
I watched all of Markiplier's.
My watch through of FNAF was related to the completionist who used to do all of these games, and then he got told by his psychiatrist that he wasn't allowed to anymore because they were stressing him out.
That's fair.
I think I watched Markiplier's. I also watched all the game theories, and also Scary Game Squad.
Many of the game theories ones. Again, I kind of fell off of it because there's so many. I think I watched Markiplier because I think between him and PewDiePie, they were kind of like the funny jump scare reactions ones. But also Markiplier's very good at the game. Like a lot of the people,
he's also a great entertainer.
Yeah, a lot of people that stream the game aren't good at it.
Yeah,
because like, which is fine because like if you're going in to like have your audience feed off of jump scares, Markiplier's good at the game.
Right. And for like when it was brand new, for new audience people, they wanted to see people scared.
Yeah.
Right. They wanted to see people fail at the game. And then as the kind of world of FNAF evolved and the audience evolved, people started to wanted to see players owning the game.
Yeah. Especially
and that starts to happen later.
As the games got more difficult and that people literally people who were playing at home couldn't complete them, but they wanted to know what the lore was. You had to watch other people play to find out what the lore is. Yeah.
And we'll talk a bit about the kind of complexity of the lore, which kind of gets a bit, you're like, whatever. So Five Nights at Freddy's 1 comes out in August 2014. Scott pretty much immediately says there will be a sequel. He releases a teaser on scottgames.com a month afterwards. So this is September.
Which, like, I guess if you hit this much immediate success with something you put on the internet, of course you go, yeah, there's going to be more.
Of course there's going to be more. So August 8th, September comes around, there's a teaser.
Okay.
2 months after that, November of 2014, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 releases.
Crazy. Insane.
Absolutely insane. So not only, this is what kind of supercharged not just the fandom and not just the financial success, but also the kind of YouTube sphere that these games existed in. Because in 3 months, you had 2 games. The second game was like more complex, but not in too many ways. The like opening trailer was like was like, it's still Five Nights at Freddy's, but no doors. So you literally have the main defense of the first game taken away.
Remind me what the second one. Remind me what it looks
Five Nights
like.
at
That's
Freddy's
the one with
2. You are sitting at a desk and there's a long hallway in front of you, which some animatronics will come down and you have to flash a light to stun them.
Okay, so this
on your left and right are vents that certain other animatronics can come through.
This is the one that introduces the puppet and balloon boy. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So you also there are new animatronics like Adam said, including toy versions of the original 4 and withered versions of the original gang, plus Balloon Boy, who is a boy with balloons who says hello, Mangle, who looks like a white Foxy, but just his head, and then below him is a Mangle of like endoskeleton metal. Mm-hmm. And I love Mangle. He's a very good boy. And the puppet, who's a spooky puppet.
And the mechanic of Balloon Boy is that when he comes in, there's like you can't use your flashlight or something like that.
Right, you can't. So there are a few new mechanics. There's a Freddy mask that you put on your face to fool certain toys that to make them think that you're actually an animatronic. I think Balloon Boy limits the way that you can. Like, I think you have to put on a mask when he comes, which means that you can't do certain stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's also the vents, which is where the Toy Chica and Toy Bonnie crawl through to try to kill you. Toy Chica, for some reason, doesn't have a beak, which is very creepy. Yeah. She's just a head.
She looks like a caterpillar a little bit.
Yeah. And then there's also one room, the party room, which has a music box, which you have to go to that camera and wind up the music box, or else the puppet will come and kill you.
Yeah, it's very much, again, a to-do list.
It's very much a to-do list, very much fidgety and routine-based. The puppet is a kind of round white face with red cheeks and 2 streaks of tears coming down his face, and has like stripy
like a mime
arms and socks, like a mime. You also have, when you die or between nights, mini games that look like the Atari 2800. And this is the new mechanic. Instead of the phone guy, there is also a phone guy.
It's all coming back to me now.
That tells the meta story of the game. So you have mini games like give gifts, give life, cake, where the puppet goes around and gives gifts to all of these 4 seemingly dead children, and then they all get masks that look like the 4 animatronics. You also run around and like get cake, and they're all just very odd, but they tell the story of the original 4 suits, the original regular gang, which do become withered. Like that is who the
we're in the future now.
Are. Well,
strike that. Forget I said anything.
So
the stands.
The original 4 suits is the child disappearance incident that we read about in the first game. And the 4 suits were stuffed with the bodies of 4 dead children and possessed by the souls of said children, because the puppet basically the puppet is another dead child, the first ever murdered child, who was killed by a guy who in the game is purple. And so he's called Purple Guy.
We do call him Purple Guy.
So he killed a kid. Kid goes into puppet. Purple Guy kills 4 more kids, stuffs them in suits. Puppet goes to those suits.
Uses ghost magic,
puts the kids back into the souls of back into the suits. The phone guy also returns, and he tells you about the mechanics. And also at the 5th night, he's like, why are you still there? We just got shut down. Somebody took a suit, a gold one, and did some bad stuff. You shouldn't be there. You were told that your shift had ended and you didn't need to come back. So what this tells us is that, 1, the phone guy is still alive. So that means that we can't be in Five Nights 1 because he dies at the end of it.
Okay.
So this game is actually
we know
a prequel.
It's 2 different phone guys. I mean, we know it's the same one. I mean, we know it's the same one.
Yeah, we know it's the same one. It's the same voice. It is Scott Cawthon, actually.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So we find out that this game is a prequel telling us the story of how the original 4 animatronics got possessed.
Yay, I understand now.
And at the end, you find out that the Bite of 87 happened then, because there's a lot of stuff happening, and that's
because you see the minigame. Oh no, you don't see that until the next game. The minigame with the kid actually getting bit. You don't see that until
that's Five Nights at Freddy's 4.
Oh my god!
So we're gonna get there.
It's all together in my head.
I think that this is the best main game made by Cawthon of this kind of original tetralogy. And it's the last one I'm going to be really meticulous about.
I do remember liking
I just think it's very good. Yeah. So it's November 2014.
Where were you?
4 months
It
later,
was my birthday, probably.
March of 2015, Five Nights at Freddy's 3 releases.
God, madman.
It's set in the far future where some big dum-dums found the old Five Nights at Freddy's building and said, let's turn this into a haunted house.
That's this one. I love this one.
They call it Fazbear Frights. In this one, you're the night guard there, and they found old phone guy recordings, so they play those for you because, some nighttime entertainment. And you're hunted by one animatronic because they found this animatronic in the back just
chilling
there. His name is Springtrap, which you may remember we talked about a little bit before.
Not the games, me and Devin.
Yeah.
Because this is the first mentioning of these Springtrap suits in the franchise. Yeah.
Yeah. This is a golden bunny suit that looks like Bonnie, but very clearly has a dude inside him, like a human dude. So this is actually a Springlock suit, one that can be both an animatronic and a walk-around character. We find out that the dude inside is actually Purple Guy because we have Atari-style minigames again. We find out that he tried to systematically dismantle the old animatronics to keep the children from screwing with him. And at the end, the puppet and the souls of the dead children actually force him to jump into the Springlock suit. But the Springlock suit, if it gets wet, the Springlocks
they fail
and they crush whatever inside. So he ends up getting all crushed because he gets in the Springlock suit. This game is considered usually the weakest of the kind of original four, mixed with FNAF 4 is also considered the worst. I don't know how you said that you really like this game.
I just like the story and aesthetic of it. I like the kind of.
I think that the story is very well executed in this.
So is he a zombie or is he still alive? Because also the thing is he's sealed off into a room that you can't go into, but he's been there the whole time.
Yeah, so it's with we're not going to talk about the novels much, but there's some novel stuff that tries to explain that there's a room where the animatronics can't go into. It's like a security room, which is why it doesn't appear on any of the maps of the earlier games, and that's where the Purple Guy was hiding, and that it's not. I don't know why he's alive for all those 20 years, but I think it's implied that he and his son, who later gets possessed by Ennard, have some kind of ability to live long. It's all very confusing. Again.
It's where we kind of start to lose the plot a little bit.
We start to lose the plot. So let's not worry about the plot. There are some new mechanics. Again, you have one animatronic whose jump scares are, I think, the worst. He just kind of slumps into frame and then you die.
Yeah.
There are also phantom animatronics, which appear when you forget to the mechanics in this game are you have vents that you need to vent and air conditioning.
Among Us. Sus.
Very Among Us. It's very sus. So if those fail, you start to get hallucinations. So Phantom Balloon Boy and Phantom...
So there's a Balloon Boy in this game.
A Phantom one.
Oh. Okay.
Who just jump scare you but don't kill you.
Right.
But when they jump scare you, they shut down a bunch of your systems. Those systems are also the vents that you use to stop Springtrap from coming and killing you.
Yeah.
So it's a very stressful game. I think it's well executed. It's just,
I just like the design of Springtrap a lot. I think it looks really good.
I feel that. And the overall aesthetic of Fazbear Frights, this idea of in universe, they know this is scary and they make it into a scary thing is very cool.
Mm-hmm.
A few months later, Scott teases the final chapter of the saga, LOL, and says it's going to come out later in the year, November. Then June comes around and he says, actually, it's going to come out in August. And then the next month it releases in July.
Okay.
So in less than a year, we have all 4 games of this original tetralogy. In this game, you play as a little boy in his room.
Yeah, switching it up. The
completely switching it up. You move around the room and check your open doors. For some reason, this child has 2 doors in his bedroom. And you also open a closet and also look at your bed because there are nightmare versions of the animatronics that are trying to kill you. It's pretty clear that these are all hallucinations. Yeah. They're because of the meta story that we find out throughout the game through Atari style minigames. So in the hallways are Nightmare Freddy and Nightmare Bonnie, I believe, and they try to come into your door. In your closet is Mangle,
and they are scary. These designs.
The nightmares they have big mouths for bellies and stuff. They are
frightening.
They are sick. You also have little toy Freddys that look like wind-up toys that have sharp mouths. that sit on your bed and you have to like scare them away. There's also a hallway with a stool, and there's a plush Golden Freddy on there.
Yeah.
I don't remember where that comes in, but that's in
I
that
think
game.
it's like Golden Freddy is with him the whole time. Like when we see later in the mini games,
He's called Psychic Friend Fredbear.
Yeah, when we see later on that he's the one that like is helping the boy.
Yeah, so the meta story of this game, which also happens between nights in Atari 2800 style minigames, you are playing as the same kid, which I think is a really good kind of story design standpoint because it's very obvious at some point. So you're led by a plush Golden Freddy who speaks to you, but only when you're alone. At the end of these 5 nights, you like realize, oh, there's going to be a party on Saturday at Freddy's. For some reason, the kid is afraid of Freddy. You don't know why.
I mean,
and then
who wouldn't like?
Who
was afraid of the animatronics at Chuck E. Cheese? Like,
yeah, of course. And his brother like keeps scaring him by wearing this Foxy mask, and then they end up at Freddy's, and the kid ends up being carried to Golden Freddy, who's being used as an animatronic, and his head gets bitten. His frontal lobe gets bitten out. Apparently,
which is
what happens.
Insane.
Absolutely insane. People thought this was the bite of 87, but actually,
that bothers me so much that it's just some other bite.
Once again, this is the bite of 83.
Oh my God.
And this game is also a prequel to FNAF 2. Absolutely insane. So
just make it the bite. Just talk about one bite.
That's kind of the first arc of FNAF, right? You have the first year where everybody's talking about this game. Everybody's theorizing. Everybody's playing it.
All about lore. Notice we didn't really talk about the mechanics of the fourth one because like people weren't like kind of rooting on these games to come out for the mechanics. People wanted to know what the real story was.
And to be fair, the guy only developed them for 3 months. He didn't come up with any new mechanics. Yeah. They're all the same. So the initial novelty of the game design was starting to wear off. A lot of YouTubers kind of stopped playing, but the series kept going. And a lot of like game theory was still totally in it. And Scott released a game that is no longer available. It's an open world RPG,
right?
Like FNAF World.
I forgot about this one.
I think that this game deserves more credit. It's a huge game. It's well designed. It's silly. It's fun. But it's not a horror game, also, so we have to skip it.
Because I do want to mention that a huge part of the fan base of Five Nights at Freddy's is literal children. It is children. Kids like these games.
We'll talk about that.
Which is, I think, one of the appeal. All of the kids that I teach love these games, which I think is a big part of the appeal of that game specifically.
Yes.
Yeah. Just wanted to mention.
And
that.
It's also, there's so much lore in the game. Like at the end, it's revealed that whoever created the animatronics kills himself. Mm-hmm. There's a lot in there that we don't have time for. So around the same time the books we talked about were released, they told a parallel story that wasn't canon to the games, but kind of put together, they formed a kind of really interesting kind of super narrative. They were bad books. But
Scott didn't write them though, right? Like he wrote the general story, but somebody else wrote them.
I think they were co-written.
Okay.
I think he partially wrote them. But after this, Scott released another trilogy. Really kind of FNAF World probably represents like the first part of this, because when the books were released, which was kind of in the time of FNAF 3 and 4, people thought that they were going to remain separate. And then as the time went on and FNAF World released, it became clear that they were starting to come together. So this set of 3 games are kind of demonstrably better than the first 3 or first 4. So
he also had probably a much bigger budget for these.
For sure, and more time, and probably had the story
team
actually
of devs
thought out.
And yeah.
Right. So 2016, a game called Sister Location releases, which is one of my favorites. It has Funtime animatronics, which are very good designs. They're like white with pink cheeks.
They're cute.
There's a Funtime Freddy, Funtime Foxy, who is very clearly Mangle,
right,
but before Mangle was Mangle. And Ballora, who's like a tall ballerina.
She's so cool.
And is so cool. And Baby, who is a white animatronic.
She's like a clown.
With red cheeks and like red hair. Yeah, Circus Baby is her full name, her Christian name. Who was originally meant to star in a restaurant that was called Circus Baby's Pizza World.
Boom.
Circus Pizza. It came back. It's a very creepy story. It's one of the funniest.
This is the Exotic Butters one, yes?
It is Exotic Butters.
Okay.
You play as a guy who like goes into this underground facility.
Because you don't play in the pizza
as a
restaurant. You
maintenance
play in
worker.
this facility that rents out these animatronics to other pizza restaurants.
Yeah, but why is it underground?
I don't know why it's
Nobody
underground.
knows. You have to crawl through vents to do your job. You also have to like crawl through a room, but if you make too much noise, Ballora kills you.
Okay.
You also have to like do maintenance on one of the animatronics, which is the creepiest and smartest thing ever, because you have to like press buttons and then the like head springs open in a jump scare and it's freaky. There are just so many little games and each night is very different. But there's also very funny stuff in this. Every night you go home and you have a scene of you eating popcorn while watching a TV show about a vampire and his girlfriend, and whether the baby is the vampire's. And every time he goes, I'm telling you, the baby isn't mine. And then the girl goes, oh yeah, why is he hanging from the ceiling? And it like pans up and it's very cute. You have a little hand unit that every night is like, hey,
oh, you have the little helper thing.
Yeah, I'm here to help you. Please type in what you want as a gift at the end of this week. You've done such great work. And you try to type and it doesn't work. And it goes, I saw what you were typing. Let me finish it for you. Thank you for selecting Exotic Butters.
Because it's like a bucket full of cash or like a couple of other good things. And what's the name it gives you? Because you try and type in your name, Eggs Benedict.
It does call you Eggs Benedict. You also try to select a new voice and it makes it go to angsty teen. And so an angsty teenager talks to you the whole night. In the untrue ending, the bad ending, when you go home that night, there's a bucket of Exotic Butters on your
that's
your
a
desk,
bad ending. That's disappointing.
But that's not the canon ending, because the canon ending ends up with you in a basically homage to FNAF 1, where you are checking cameras to see where one animatronic, whose name is Ennard, chasing you around this place. And the story of the game is that Baby killed the creator of the animatronic's daughter by eating her.
Like scooping her, they call
her
it, right?
stomach, right. Her stomach opens up and a big scooper comes out and it takes her in. That daughter possesses Baby. And so that Baby tries to help you as you go through the facility to escape the evil animatronics who are trying to kill you, including Ennard, who Ennard is like an amalgamation.
Yeah.
Because in the books, they start to talk about this thing called remnant, which is this like essence of human life that you can like store in an animatronic. It's silly, but Ennard basically takes that life force and puts it into himself.
Okay.
So by the end of the game, you have Ennard, who is made up of Ballora, Funtime Fox, whatever souls were in these bodies, Ballora, Funtime Foxy, and Baby. And Ennard uses Baby's voice to try to like convince you to come to this room, because at the end, Ennard scoops you and you get scooped out. And he goes inside of you and leaves.
Because then you like see yourself in the mirror
facility.
and
you have purple eyes just like Ennard does. So it's super weird. Ennard is also a very interestingly designed character. He's entirely endoskeleton except for his face, which is like a mime face and a very tiny party hat. Now, our favorite game.
I love this game.
When I tell you that this game is called Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator.
It is a pizzeria simulator.
It is a literal sim/tycoon game.
I love tycoon games.
You own a Freddy's Pizzeria and you like bring in kids and like build this restaurant, and you can play through this game just as a simulator.
Yeah.
You play through a week of time where there are like promo videos that are written like 50s propaganda videos.
Oh yeah, like the where the instruction videos for when you purchase your franchise.
And they're like, oh, the story of the game is like, oh, remember the big parties on Saturday. You want them all in the same place, and you don't really know what that means. So you spend the week filling your pizzeria with fun games and animatronics. The different games and animatronics can have a certain liability, which can lead to like death,
injury. You can get sued,
and then you get sued, and then that means that you lose the game. Every night you're stuck in front of this computer where you have to order new supplies. So that's where like scare stuff comes in, because also every night somebody in the back of the store finds an animatronic who's just sitting outside the restaurant. And so you have to test it to see if it still works and choose to throw it back onto the street or salvage it. Incredibly creepy. It is literally like a single yellow light blinking above you with like Scrap Baby, who got kicked out of Ennard and is now made of scrap. Molten Freddy, who's super creepy. This game adds so many animatronics, including my favorite, 2 gangs, which is Mr. Trash and the gang, who's just pieces of trash, and the Mediocre Melodies, who are very clearly just low rent versions of the regular animatronics. So if you salvage these, which you're supposed to, they try to attack you at night when you're trying to order supplies. So it's this kind of, again, these like real game versus meta game versus real game versus fake game. And then at the end of the week, if everything has gone right, if you do everything right, you salvage all of the animatronics, you don't die, you don't get sued, you make it to the end of the week, it's revealed that you are actually, most likely, Purple Guy's son, which is so stupid, trying to lure all of the old animatronics back.
So you can burn the place down.
So that Purple Guy will also come because he wants to get rid of the animatronics. And then you burn the whole place to the ground.
Taking yourself with it.
Freeing all of the animatronic souls and also damning Purple Guy to hell for all eternity. Play this game, it's so good. The ending animatronic is literally an image of Freddy or Purple Guy like burning alive, and it goes, "But for one of you, the lowest level of hell has opened up. So don't keep the devil waiting, old friend." And it's like, what? This is a Pizzeria
It's very
simulator.
hard to get that ending though. Like, is there 8 different
you have
endings?
To salvage
you can get?
everything. Yeah. And a lot of the games have that, where they have like good endings, bad endings, fake endings, real endings. And then the final game in the Scott Cawthon part of the franchise is called Ultimate Custom Night, where you play as Purple Guy stuck in hell, and you're haunted by every animatronic that has ever existed, including all the silly ones that they added to Pizzeria Simulator. And that is the ending of like 5 Nights at Freddy's, is that this guy killed a bunch of kids. Those kids stuck around, including his own son. And eventually, after years and years and years, you eventually free those souls and damn that guy to hell.
And isn't the whole thing with the first 2 games, since you're playing as some random security guard, that it's like they're after you because they think you're Purple Guy because he was a security guard? Is that?
It's also possible. Yeah. So the reason that the missing kids incident happened was because a security guard used one of the Springlock suits to lure children, which is also paralleled in the one where the children kill or Springlock Purple Guy, because he's literally luring all of the animatronics back into this back room the same way he did when he killed them. So also looking back, what people think is maybe you're playing as his kid the whole time, whose name is Mike, because they think that you're Purple Guy because you look like him because you're his son.
Got it.
But there's a lot. Again, there's a playlist that sometimes I put in the background of all of Game Theory's videos. There are like 40 of them. It's insane.
It's a lot.
And a lot of them disagree. But we're going to talk a little bit about the future of the franchise after this, but I want to play a little game. So Adam, don't look at the screen at all. This is a game in which I will tell you a name of an animatronic, and you will tell me if it's a real animatronic or one I made up.
Okay. I think I'm gonna be pretty good at this, but
I think you will too.
Okay, I'm ready.
JJ.
JJ, I feel like could be one of the. Do I get anything else, or I just get their name?
No, it's just their name.
I feel like JJ is one of the balloon children of various genders.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's a weird, because none of these people, I mean, I guess Freddy is like a normal name. I'm going to say JJ's real. JJ is a balloon person.
JJ is real. There are three balloon people. Yeah. Balloon Boy, who's known as BB. Dee Dee, who's a girl, and JJ.
Okay, so JJ is the gender neutral one. Dee Dee's the lady one. BB's the boy.
In the eventual RPG where you get to play as an animatronic, the gender options will be Dee Dee, BB, and JJ.
Okay, got it.
Hollowed Fredbear.
Hollowed Fredbear. Now, it's not Hollowed Freddy, it's Hollowed Fredbear.
Right. So like Fredbear is the gold, like you call Golden Freddy would be called, his real name is Fredbear.
Is this hollowed with an O or hallowed with an A?
Hallowed in our accent.
Then I think it is. I think he's also real. I think there's also a hallowed Fredbear.
Hallowed Fredbear I made up. I really like the idea of like a holy Fredbear who's like an angel.
Maybe like the nightmare ones or something, or like the I don't know.
He's like an archangel Fredbear.
I was thinking maybe
Nightmarion.
Nightmarion?
Yeah.
No, he made that up. That's not real. That's
Nah, Nightmarion's real
What?
and the sickest name ever because the puppet is actually known as Marionette. So the nightmare version of the puppet is known as Nightmarion, which is an incredible naming scheme.
Nate, I didn't even realize there was a nightmare version of the puppet. Like, I thought
Yeah, let me look up Nightmarion.
Nightmarion. I'm going to look it up too. So,
Yeah, it's the puppet, but there's no color on him and he has spiky teeth.
Oh, yes. I've seen this boy. I
Yeah.
recognize this boy. I like this boy.
If you're ever bored, which is what I do sometimes, you can just go to the list of animatronics and look at all these silly boys.
He's very scary. I like him.
My next one is Mr. Right.
Now, I know all of like number one crate and friends have.
I love number one crate.
I feel like
in Scary Game Squad, there's a moment where they sell Mr. Crate and it's very sad. And one of them goes, "It was Crate serving you." And Ezra and I have been saying that to each other for the past few days because we rewatched that video.
I think there's a Mr. Hugs who I think is the mop with the arms on it. Something like that.
The Mr. Trash and the gang are literal pieces of garbage.
So are we not counting them in
stage.
this list of animatronics?
There might be some of them.
Okay. I think.
But is Mr. Right real?
I think Mr. Right is part of number one crate and friends.
No, Mr. Right is my name.
I was hoping that it was like a sign, like a turn right sign with a googly eyes on it.
Mini Rena.
No, those are. I know Mini Renas are real because they're Belora's little bitches, and they're little. They follow you around.
You get one of the Knights of Sister location. You get stuck in a springlock suit, and the Mini Renas try to climb up so that they can springlock you and kill you. Mr. Hugs.
Yay, Mr. Hugs! I know Mr. Hugs is real.
Chaz Cheetah.
Oh, I want Chaz Cheetah to be real, really bad because that's very good. But I do not think there is a Chaz Cheetah.
Yeah, it's very sadly not
That's
real.
A good name. Though.
Lolbit.
Lolbit. That sounds like Lolbit sounds like the usernames that my students give themselves on like the Gaia forums that they go on. But like, so which makes me think this is real. Lolbit is something in the game.
It is. It looks like Funtime Foxy,
Lolbit.
but with yellow markings and purple markings. I'm not sure what the lore of
I see.
Lolbit
Okay.
is.
I like the color
Lolbit
scheme
is not
a lot.
Real animatronic. It just appears as a disembodied head over a sign that says "Please stand by," which I really like.
I do like that too. I only had to get like 2 columns down before I got to freaky stuff.
No,
Man.
The next one is Ned Bear.
Oh yeah, I know Ned Bear. Ned Bear is real because that's the one. He's the one that like the one that's all like black with the red bow tie and like the dinky eye. Right? Is that Ned Bear?
That's not Ned Bear.
Oh, but I do remember.
Ned Bear is the knockoff Freddy. And he's part of the mediocre melodies.
Every so often, that line that Markiplier does go, oh no, that's Lefty. That line from Markiplier goes through my mind when he's buying that, and he goes, "I'm gonna buy Ned Bear."
Funtime Fozzie.
Funtime Fozzie. Oh, why would you do this to Fozzie the Bear? To Mr. the Bear.
I didn't realize that.
There has to have been like a Muppets FNAF remake, and if you haven't, if there is none, somebody
make that fan game.
No, I don't think Funtime Fozzie is real.
No, he's not real. The Grangle.
Oh, I like the Grangle a lot. I really want the Grangle to be real, but I don't think they are.
No, of course he's not. Next I said Lefty, who you already said. Mm-hmm. That was why I put Mr. Right in there, because I was like, see, left, right.
Maybe I'll, yeah.
Lefty is my favorite animatronic of all time.
Lefty's the one where you buy it and it's like, do not buy this animatronic.
Do not buy this animatronic. He is a black Freddy with red cheeks and a star on his chest and a microphone. And I'm pretty sure he's like designed to trap the.
Do you have to buy puppet? Lefty to beat the game correctly?
I believe so.
I Googled Lefty and the first thing that comes up was Lefty/Lolbit.
Let me look up real fast. Because I'm also thinking about the palette swapped Freddy that's golden. Black.
That is not
Freddy,
Golden Freddy.
Golden. What is his name? Is his name Shadow Freddy? No, Shadow Freddy is a different. Oh, we forgot about Shadow Freddy and Shadow.
Yeah,
Bonnie.
I remember those. I think when you said the one that you said before, Hollowed Freddy, I was thinking, oh, maybe that's what the Shadow ones are called.
I'm Nightmare Fredbear. Fredbear's just Golden Freddy.
Yeah.
Golden. Oh, no, never mind. They're different things.
Oh, okay.
Fredbear is the plush with the purple hat.
Great.
Shows
what I know.
This is not all of the animatronics. You lied to me. FNAF, FiveNightsAtFreddy's.fandom.wiki.com. Okay, anyway. Next one.
Okay.
Chase the dog.
Case the dog?
Chase the dog.
Chase the dog.
Yeah.
That's a cute name for what kind of dog is Chase the dog? Can you answer that?
He's a German Shepherd.
Okay, I don't think he's real then.
Yeah, he's from Paw Patrol.
I should have known that.
Rockstar Chica.
Rockstar Chica? There's definitely Rockstar ones, but I don't know how they're different from like the Fun Time or the toy ones. But I think Rockstar Chica's real.
Yes, she is.
Where are they
I don't
from?
remember where. She was employed at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Place.
She was employed.
Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator.
She was on payroll.
Also, yeah, they were also the rock stars are supposed to come back and
okay, because those are the ones that you can buy. Got it.
Yeah. And okay, El Chip.
Oh, I think El Chip is the ones that have the sombrero, the sombrero, right? In the
Yep, it's Freddy Fazbear, but with a sombrero and maracas. And finally, Pig Patch.
Oh, Pig Patch. I know there's a pig one. I thought his name was Pig Pen, but maybe I'm thinking of the Charlie Browns. Okay, yes, Pig Patch is real. Is his name Pig Patch?
His name is Pig Patch. He's from the Mediocre Melodies.
Right.
We love him.
It's like Mr. Hippo, Orville, Pig Patch, Ned Bear, and there's one more, right? Or is that all of them?
Wait, let me pull
Orville's
them up.
the elephant. Mr. Hippo is obviously Mr. Hippo.
It would have been weird if he wasn't. Yeah, Mr. Hippo. Oh, there's a frog.
Oh, it's a frog.
The Mediocre Melodies are made of Orville Elephant, Happy Frog, Ned Bear, Mr. Hippo, and Pig Patch.
Happy Frog.
Also, Peter Baker voices Orville Elephant, which is hilarious.
Wow.
And I love that. Not the New York Times guy.
No.
That would be
The
great,
voice actor.
So that's the end of the game, but we're going to talk a little bit about the kind of future. We went a little long, but
it's okay.
So Scott has stopped making the video games himself. It's actually been passed off to Steel Wool Studios, who has made the AR game that's on the phone. I haven't played that. They also made what I think is actually the best Freddy's game, which is Five Nights at Freddy's VR Help Wanted, which is a VR reimagining of the entire series along with like games. Some new stuff. Yeah, you play through all the games. Some of them are like retooled to not quite be the originals.
That's cool.
It is so well designed. It's so well polished. It's so good. It introduces a new meta story where you are playing as actually a beta tester of this video game. And you discover tapes from a previous beta tester who tells you that there's a malicious piece of code who we call it's like glitch trap, or maybe it's like night hair or something.
Interesting.
Who wants to get out of the oh, hi, Ezra.
It's glitch trap.
I know there's another name for it that I think is technically more canon. Anyway, you play as a beta tester who finds these tapes from the other beta tester that tells you that Glitch Trap is trying to escape the game. But what you realize is that at the end, you find the first tape. You've been finding them out of order. And she tells you that she was trying to trap Glitch Trap in the tapes and scattered them. So you're not supposed to get all the tapes together or else he'll escape. But because you are finding the tapes out of order, you don't know that until you find the last tape. And so it's incredibly terrifying. The canon ending is that Glitch Trap switches places with you and traps you in the video game and he leaves.
Fascinating.
Yeah, it's a really, really good game. And I only got through night one of the first game because I am a little baby. The next game is set to release, I think, next month. It's called Security Breach, and it's set in a mall, and it looks very good. I probably won't play it, but I will watch somebody play it. So Adam, what are your thoughts about Five Nights at Freddy's?
Still going strong. I mean, I appreciate what it I think it gets a reputation now of being perhaps hashtag cringy because it has such a young fan base. And it's a tad violent to have as young of a fan base as it does. But
yeah, we didn't talk about the kind of merchandising and stuff, which is
huge.
Very lucrative and everywhere. And that is kind of the vector through which the game got introduced to children other than YouTube.
Yeah.
And it is very weird that this horror franchise is primarily marketed to children. That is like...
Yeah. And I don't think it started off that way,
thing.
But...
No, not at all.
It like has been kind of adopted by kids, which is like fine. And I think it's cool to have like, I think it's a good intro to kids for horror, even if it's a little violent.
Yeah,
I
think as time goes on, they are becoming better about that like they know it's kind of for children. So they have been like making the brand a bit more child friendly.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Which is, I think, like exciting, and like I'm glad that the game, since it's got handed off from Scott, is still good. Like they didn't just totally
right. They
mess it
actually
up.
made the game better in almost every single way. Like the joke about it is that now it's a real game, which is a little bit detrimental to the originals, but it is like a fully realized product now, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, it's exciting. I think it's a good intro to horror games for people.
Yeah, I think I just hallucinated this palette swapped Freddy animatronic
Not real.
that I thought existed. I mean, like Nightmare exists, who is a black version of Freddy with a golden hat, like basically a palette swapped golden Freddy. But I thought that there was just a regular version of him. But no, he's all teeth and his belly's teeth, and he's very scary. But anyway, thank you for listening to the second episode of Devin's special video game corner. If you enjoyed, please subscribe and leave a rating on iTunes. It means a lot. Or follow us on Spotify and look at our Patreon, patreon.com/greatscreampod, for cool rewards, early access to episodes, and much more in the future. Adam, can you pimp our social medias, please?
Yeah, you can check us out on Facebook at The Great American Scream, or much more frequently on Instagram and Twitter at Great Scream Pod. Let us know your thoughts about the games. Are you an avid fan and you play the next one? Your favorite animatronics? You can tweet at us or post using the hashtag TGAS. And as always, if there is something that you would like to hear about on the show, tweet at us, or you can email us at greatscreampod@gmail.com, because your suggestion may become the topic for a future episode.
I forgot to talk about Egg Baby Data Archive.
Oh, God.
Who's a very big egg guy with a smaller egg inside him and is also a computer.
Yes, he is.
I just needed to mention that. Anyway, so special thank you goes out to Michael Seguda, who did the intro disclaimer, as well as Stevie Viola, who does all the music for the show. You can find him on YouTube and Twitter. Other than that, we would like to thank our current patrons, who are so lovely to financially support the show. You can do that too. Again, patreon.com/greatscreampod. Thank you to Chris, Melinda, Brucker, Joyce, Gail, Casper, Eric, and Ben. We went backwards today.
Yeah.
I've been Devin Wright.
I've been Adam O'Connell.
And hopefully you have been spooked.
And hopefully you're not inside a Springlock suit right now.
If you are, get out. Especially if there's water weirdly dripping from the
I
ceiling.
have bad news for you. Just do it safely.
There's no way to do it safely.